Colleagues, my comments in this videocast are directed to those of you moving from an exam to a pass-fail assignment as a result of disruptions caused by the current COVID-19 pandemic. Now, like all of you, when I construct an exam or an assignment, I do so with the highest standards of student achievement in mind, even though I know that not all my students will perform at the highest level. In fact, experience has taught me that I will get a range of performances from poor to excellent. It's also true that along that continuum, I will make a decision to pass some of my students because their performance on my exam or assignment was just about good enough. All of us make that decision about individual students on a regular basis. However, most of us do not write assignments with that specific decision in mind. But now, some of us are asked to consider doing so for our undergraduate students, to write assignments with a pass-fail decision in mind, assignments that will allow our students to demonstrate just enough competence for us to allow them to move to the next stage of their learning. An assignment that will capture the bare essentials of what we think are necessary for progression to the next phase of learning. I'm reminded of that song from the Jungle Book. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries or your strife. I mean, the bare necessities, and so on. If times were not so bad, I think I'd break into song. So now, what would I do? Well, as always, I begin with the learning outcomes from my module, the knowledge, skills, and/or attitudes the module was designed to support. But now my thinking needs to be a little bit different. I need to ask myself, how can my assessment capture the essential knowledge, skills, and attitudes for my module? Which of my learning outcomes are essential for progression to second year or to third year? Or are they all essential? I also need to ask, have students had the opportunity to learn all the content of my module following the suspension of face-to-face teaching? At this point, I'll also need to decide whether I'm going to set a single assignment or a number of smaller ones, while at the same time being conscious of student workload. It's something we always need to be conscious of, I guess. Whichever way I go, my assignments will need to be designed with a pass-fail decision in mind on this occasion. And my assignments will require that I'm clear about the criteria for passing. That's the success criteria, which in this case is focused on the cutoff point between pass and fail. This will involve drawing up a marking guide or scoring rubric that makes the basis of my pass-fail decision visible to others. For example, it should be clear to my students how individual elements of a single assignment or how multiple small assignments were combined to reach a pass. And now here's the key piece. Because I need to make a pass-fail decision only, the assignments I create are going to be, hopefully, less complex and easier to mark than assignments designed to capture the full range of achievement. Now, of course, some of you may choose to design a complex assignment and then make a pass-fail decision only. That's entirely up to you. But in the current special circumstances, an assignment designed to capture just enough learning for progression is fine for me. And I'll make my students aware that this is a bare necessities assignment and it's not reflective of what my assignments were like in the past or will be like in the future. So in essence, there are three things I would now do. Identify the learning outcomes I intend to assess. Design an assessment to capture the bare necessities for progression, thinking of that song again. Design a marking guide or scoring rubric focused on my pass-fail decision. This is also where I'll decide on my pass criterion. So 40%, 65%, 2 of the 3 elements of my assignment correct, all 3 elements of my assignment correct. That is really up to you. It's important for me to point out at this stage that in this video I have addressed the case of individual assignments only. In cases where pass-fail assignments and exams that were marked sort of in January or have been running throughout the year, they need to be combined into a final decision about consolidated modules. Staff really should refer to marks and standards documents on the registry or consult with their heads of school or the key decision makers in their faculty around exams. Additionally, there are a number of documents that you might like to consult before you begin. I have prepared a document providing 2 exemplars of how regular assignments or exam questions can be reconceptualized or rewritten as pass-fail assignment. My colleague Zita Lysett, who lectures on assessment at the Institute of Education, has prepared a set of slides on designing rubrics. Zita has also written a very useful memo on criterion referenced assessment. Zita and I have also worked with colleagues in the National Institute for Digital Learning at the TU, and we have developed a document called a brief on guiding principles and actions for assessment in testing times. All of these documents will be available on the CARPE website. So wishing each and every one of you the very best over the next couple of months. Please get in touch by email if I can help in any way. My contact details are on the CARPE website.